What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Game On Improve Your Health podcast. My name is Austin J, or hallucinodream if you know me from the gaming community, and today I am being joined once again by my lovely wife, my semi-permanent co-host at this point, Christina. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Yes, you're so welcome.
Yes. Today we are going to go over question and answers, and this is a follow-up to our episode 6. Episode 6, we went over nutrition habits and how to maintain those habits and tips for that. So if you have not heard that, you can go back, watch our YouTube video, our replay on Twitch or YouTube, and or our podcast platforms, which is Spotify, Apple, and Google. You can listen to that, and then if you have any questions, of course, we can still answer them in the future. But today we're going to go over the questions that have come in, and we are going to, maybe go over something or anything that we may have missed in the episode 6. So we're just going to kickstart with the questions. First question that we got that came in was, you touched on nutrition habits and how to maintain them. What do you do when you're traveling? What do you do when you are in a long car ride? What do you do about a hotel? What do you do about long visits with family, especially during the holidays, which we are around right now? So I will let Christina take this one off.
Okay. For us right now, I travel a lot for work. So, and with having a baby and COVID, we've decided to try to drive as much as we can. So for us, we've been in the car a lot. What's really been helpful for us, I have a couple tips. Just pack snacks for your drive. So we try to eat before we leave. And then we, pack snacks for our drive. And then we just stop for one big dinner. Towards the end of our trip, maybe when we only have an hour or so left. So then at that point, you're kind of ready to get out of the car. You need a little bit of a break. So it's nice to just kind of get out for dinner, and then you're more likely to stop for a healthier choice if you're actually at kind of a sit-down restaurant versus just grabbing fast food. And then bringing your own snacks really helps with that. So you'll stop less because you have your own drinks and snacks. Just bring protein bars, maybe nuts, crackers, anything that's, at least not candy bars, just nutritional things that are kind of going to hold you over from point A to point B. And then, with us having a car at our destination is easy, but if you don't, you can do food delivery services. So we do try to get a hotel that has a kitchen, and so normally if there's a kitchen, there's plenty of grocery stores around. So Walmart, Whole Foods, they do pickups or deliveries. Some hotels even give you the option to have food in there before you get there. It's a little pricier if you do it through the hotel versus Whole Foods or Walmart, something like that. But yeah, so you definitely have some options. We try to just shop and bring as much as we can instead of having to go out every night. One, saves you money. Two, it really helps you just kind of stay on track and not, just go and eat junk or fried food, every night for dinner. Now, if you're away, it's fine to do that every, once in a while. No matter what, we're always going to go out to dinner at least once or twice while we're out. But, it just saves you, on breakfast, lunch, gives you some healthier options.
Yeah, so to touch on what she said, shopping beforehand is very powerful, and she didn't mention it, but when you do go shopping for yourself, make sure you eat before you go shopping. You do not want to go shopping hungry, because then you will start grabbing things that you actually don't want to put into your body.
I feel like I said that on the first episode, but yeah, just as a reminder, that's a really good tip.
Yes, that's a good tip. And one of the things that we do, like she said, we bring protein bars. We bring our own drinks as well. So we'll, of course, drink coffee. We try to limit ourselves to the 1 cup of coffee. And then, of course, we save. So like she said, it's okay to do your...
Indulge a little bit.
So we save our Starbucks trips, which I love my Starbucks. Just gonna go ahead and throw that out there. And I love my pumpkin spice. Save those for road trips and stuff like that, so that that's something to look forward to. Especially since I'm driving. I usually am the one driving, but driving 14 hours takes a toll on your like your mind and everything. So you want to stay alert, but. So we save for that, and that's okay because we don't drink it very often. We don't indulge very often, and that's something
Speak for
you
yourself.
need to
No.
something you need to be able to do to continue. And if you can't get a kitchen, like she said, just make sure that they serve breakfast, but make sure it's not just bagels, okay? Because sometimes the breakfast that is served at some hotels is literally only bagels, and that's
or just
fine.
like pastries, just
Or just
like
pastries.
carbs, like
Yeah,
sometimes most of the time they'll have like a continental like breakfast, which will kind of give you a variety. So you'll get like eggs, fruit, granola, cereal, so just try to make sure that they maybe have like an option, just some options. Right now with COVID, they don't have like the full breakfast spread, but they do. Most of the hotels that we've stayed at are doing like a continental like to go breakfast, so I think you can let them know what like you want, and then they individually package it for you. And so yeah, just try to make sure that you're not always just like picking something that's super easy like a pastry or a bagel.
and I'm
Bagel.
eating a bagel 1 or 2 days. Let's say you're away for 5 days. Eating a bagel 1 or 2 days really isn't too big of a deal. We try to eat some other stuff with it, some like fruits on the side or maybe some eggs, but try to choose the healthy stuff.
Yep.
And maybe one day right in the middle of the week, because you're there 5 days, maybe on day 3, you know what, I want to eat some of the pastries, so I'm going to get just the eggs, maybe some pastry or two, and then some fruit. So I mean, you are able to mix and match, and it's not going to put a massive damper in your nutrition habits, and feeding your desire for those sweets and stuff will help you continue.
Yeah.
That is not a fail point. That is not considered failure. That is called moderation. And I mean, everybody has their own individual moderations. We will actually get into that, but that is moderation, and you need that to be able to continue.
Yeah, and like for me, I'd rather eat carbs for breakfast. So like when I wake up, like I would rather have a bagel for breakfast than like a sandwich or French fries at lunch. So like, just kind of be mindful. Like if you're gonna eat the carbs in the morning, then maybe eat a salad for lunch or something that's not as carb heavy, so it's really just like about that balance of like being mindful of what you pick. So like I'll go on these like stints just depending on what my goals are at the time. Like I'll drink shakes every morning, and that's like the hardest switch for me because I do like carbs in the morning for breakfast. Like I like a mush, which is like the oats that you'll always hear me talk about, because I'm just going to be a permanent resident on the podcast, so you'll always hear me talk about mush. And so I like something a little heavier in the morning. So like for me, it's just such a hard mental switch to go to like a shake or something. So if that's the case for you, then maybe still have whatever you wanted for breakfast, but then drink the shake for lunch instead, so it's really just about like finding out what works for you. So it doesn't mean that you can't have the carbs, just don't eat them every meal.
Correct. And since she's on the carb kick right now in the conversation, contrary to popular belief, carbs are not bad for you, and they're not your enemy, and carbs are not the reason people gain weight and gain excessive amount of weight. We will get into that in other episodes, but just keep that in mind. You are allowed to eat carbs, and carbs are good for you. Carbs will give you energy, okay? There are different carbs, but again, we'll get into that in a different episode. But just make sure carbs are not your enemy.
Yeah, you're just, like I said, you just don't want to eat like carb heavy meals for every meal, especially if you're not super active, So, if you have a pretty sedentary job, like for me, I work in an office, so I mean, I'm pretty fortunate. I have a stand-up desk. I ride a bike during the day, but like, still, if I eat a really carb heavy lunch, I feel so tired and slow. Like that's not when I need my carbs. So just kind of, being
Yeah,
mindful of what you're doing and what your body needs.
and that's something you have to test. You got to test
Yeah.
yourself. So you got to test the waters with the carbs. Again, we'll do a whole episode on carbs and the different carbs, and but that's what you want to try to avoid is the crash from the carbs,
Yeah.
because you'll get a glucose spike, and that glucose spike will go back down, and when you do, that's the 2 o'clock feeling everybody feels
Yep.
because of that massive, lunch people eating.
Yep. And then that leads to late coffee, and then that leads to sleepless nights and
Late coffee, and because you're getting that, you also are going to your body's going to try to supplement with more carbs and more sugar because you are tired because of that crash.
Yep.
It is a downward spiral. But if you are able to, and now we're getting a little off track on the traveling,
I know, yeah.
so we'll get back onto that in a second. I'll just finish what I'm saying. But if you just gotta, again, it's individual variances. You have to learn your body. It'll take a little bit. It's going to be a struggle at first. It always is. It is for us, and we've been doing it for a couple years now. And but we generally do good. And like I said, you're allowed to slip up, but as long as you just got to figure out where you stand with what you can eat and how your body reacts to it. It's going to be trial and error for a while.
Yep.
We didn't touch on traveling. We didn't touch on family yet.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about family before we get into the next question. When you're visiting family, one thing that I think I said in the last episode, I think I've said this before as well, is when you're visiting family, especially around the holidays, which it is right now, you're sitting down. Let's say you're sitting down for a meal. Before that, there's a bunch of appetizers, hand foods you can pick. If you know, hand foods.
You can tell that we have a child
in the shape of hands.
Foods. Yeah.
You only eat with your hands. We don't even use forks anymore because of our child. Okay, just because we're trying to teach her how to use. Anyways, that's besides the point. If you know you're going to eat some of those appetizers, pick some of the good appetizers. Now, again, it's the holiday. You can indulge. Just try to make sure you have some portion control. And, if you are one of those people like me, I'm like a bottomless pit. I can eat. If I eat some appetizers, I'm going to try to limit myself when I eat the meal. I'll make one plate and not go for the seconds. And one way you can do that is when you go sit down for dinner, especially if you're with friends and family, is just enjoy the time with friends and family. Hold conversations, eat slow in between conversations. Don't talk with your mouth full. That's not what I'm saying. In between eating, taking bites and stuff, hold conversations with people. That will slow down your eating, which will, tell your stomach will tell your brain that you're getting full, which will prevent you from eating too much. Something I struggle with. I eat really fast without talking. I just devour the food, then I talk. Mm-hmm. That's something I still work on, but that's one way to do it. And before you sit down, you could also drink like an 8-ounce glass of water, maybe half an hour before dinner is going to be served and you're going to sit down. That will actually fill you up as well and help to prevent you from eating too much, more than you can handle. That actually is apparently a studied fact. I can link to that in this bio. Hopefully I remember to do that. I apologize if I don't. Somebody just bring that to my attention if I don't. But I can link to that to show you that actually does help.
Yep. Yeah, and I mean, really just like offer to bring something. So, like if you know that your family always has like really fattening or like, whatever appetizers,
or just filled with lots of sugar. Some appetizers have lots of sugar, and some people, like, I can't handle sugar anymore. I just can't do it. So,
or like, if you know that your family, will get into oils, him and his, certain oils that you should, avoid. But if you know that your family always cooks in a certain oil and you don't want to eat that, just offer to bring something. So like always safe. Like we try to bring a veggie tray, like that's a nice safe thing. The dip's not going to kill you if you dip your veggies into the dip, but at least it's better than, your vehicle for the dip is something a lot healthier than maybe some of the other options.
Yeah, maybe healthier than those fried chicken poppers.
Yes.
Is that a thing? That's a thing, yeah.
Yeah, or like pickles. Those jalapeno poppers. Yeah. Ooh, Fried
Those are good.
pickles, that sounds
Again,
so
you're
good.
allowed to indulge. Just don't eat the whole plate of jalapeno poppers.
Yeah.
And we will get into the oils in another episode as well. So, and you'll understand a little more once we
Teaser
start.
for ya.
Yeah, once we start. We're getting
I'm
into
sure
we're
everybody's
getting
gonna-
into all the good. We're starting to get into all the good stuff. So
Everyone's
I'm
gonna be
just
dying to tune into the oil episode.
yeah, we can have so many people. Yeah, so those are some tips that you can do. When you're around family. Of course, you're around your family. You don't have to be completely stingy. I mean, you don't have to. Oh, I can't eat anything. I'm just going to eat my protein bar and sit here while you guys eat your dinner.
Yeah.
You don't have to do that.
Yeah.
Like
Or
that's
even just eat the protein bar like an hour before you go. So you're like full, but like, or, you're not like starving when you get there. So like, cause that's like the worst. It's just like grocery shopping, right? So like when you're starving and you go to the grocery store, you're going to buy junk and you're just going to buy a bunch of stuff that you wouldn't normally eat. And same thing. So like when you go somewhere, just eat a protein bar like an hour before you go, or just like a snack, something. And then when you get there, you're hungry, but you're not starving. So you're able to make those better choices, So
yeah,
plans like always kind of fall by the wayside when you're starving. So
that's right. It's basically just all planning.
Yep.
And what we didn't actually touch on beforehand, and we Christina touched on it in regards to, we're going to backtrack a little bit, in regards to traveling, is she said something along the lines, I meant to say this earlier, of if you're going to eat a bagel in the morning and high carbs, try not to do it for lunch. What we do is we generally try to plan out, regardless of where we are, where we're going to eat or what we're going to try to eat for that. And now this will change. This does change very often, and it will change. And if something changes, if you plan something, you eat. If you plan something and your breakfast turns out you ate the carbs like you wanted to, and your lunch seems to change because plans changed. Maybe there was maybe your significant other, like her, changed plans, and now we're going out to eat for lunch, and it's somewhere that you unexpected. You know what I mean? That's not a huge deal.
Yep.
Right? And then maybe you can just prepare for the dinner, but try to plan it out. So try to plan it out. You don't have to do it like the whole week, but maybe the night before, say, hey, we're going to try to do this. We'll try to do this at this time and everything, and plan it out.
Yep.
Just like your daily routine, and then, traveling, and then, of course, going to family.
Yeah.
Planning definitely will help.
Yeah, I mean, and it's easier. So, like, for me, I travel for work. So, it's a lot easier when you're traveling for work to plan out your, to plan out your meals, because, like, I'm just in an office more often than not, or I'm somewhere where if I bring food, I, have access to just eat it, versus if you're going out for like a family vacation, you're going to be out and about, you're going to be doing things. So, if you can like pack a lunch, then great. If not, then, just making sure that you have healthy snacks. If you have kids, like making sure that you have stuff for them available. And then just eating like a nice hearty breakfast, like a nice well-balanced breakfast. So then when you are out, you have like these snacks, snack bars, things like that. And then maybe you just eat a bigger dinner when you have time to like actually sit down, instead of eating like a really junky, out to go lunch. So
Yeah. Exactly. Those are some tips for traveling.
Yep.
And, different scenarios on traveling. So you can put those to use. You can let us know. Anybody who tries them, let us know how they work. Let us know if any of them, aren't very good tips or anything, And
it's
try 'em
all
out.
easier said than done. I mean,
Correct.
it's all like, it's so easy for us to just, say these tips.
Absolutely.
Like, it's really just about getting them to become habits,
That's right. That's the most important part. And we've said it before, we'll say it again. These are habits for us to a large extent, but we do backtrack sometimes.
Yeah.
And it is okay. It's not going to put a massive, as I've said, it's not going to put a massive damper in our nutrition habits. We always forward.
Yep.
That's what you got to remember, is even if you backtrack and eat that piece of cake that you really wanted, maybe you ate it 2 days in a row, done it. I've eaten whole cakes days in a row. You just move forward. Okay.
Yep.
It's not a huge deal.
Yeah.
So,
But you're already a step ahead because you're thinking about it. So you're already a step ahead by thinking about, okay, I didn't do great last week, but I'm going to do better this week. So just being conscious of it, you're already one step there.
absolutely. Absolutely. So
Okay.
those are some tips, and we'll get into the second question. So the second question that came up was, you talked and touched on moderation. How do I know what moderation is? How do I know how many times maybe per week I can eat something and have it be moderation?
Mm-hmm.
So I will start with this one. Moderation is all individual variances, okay? Everybody is different, and their moderation will be different. And when you are starting out changing your nutrition habits, your moderation is going to be significantly different than ours as we are years into working on our nutrition habits, okay? For an example, let's say I'll just use myself for an example. When I first started changing my nutrition habits, the first thing I removed was fast food and sodas. I did go with that, and what I wanted to do was add meals in to and try to mix sugary anything, right? What I did was change my nutrition habits, and my weakness was the sugary stuff, okay? So my moderation, I was trying to do it in moderation, knowing that that's what I needed to do, and I was eating it, I would say, eating sugar, I would say, let's just say as an example, 5 or 6 times a day between snacks, meals, drinks,
Mm-hmm.
compared to now where I almost don't touch the sugar. Now I don't have zero sugar because there's sugar and good sugars inside of fruits and stuff, but
Yep.
that's just a comparison. So like because I built myself up to the nutrition habit that I wanted to be at, and I'm still working on it, my moderation is completely different than mine was
Yep.
a couple years ago, and yours is going to be as well as, especially if you're just starting, and everybody's is going to be different anyways. Like one thing that we work on in moderation is trying to avoid the chocolate cake that we will bring up very often because I love it so much. It doesn't affect her as much as it affects me.
Yeah.
My moderation is, 1 or 2 pieces a week will keep me content. She needs one like every month,
Yeah.
right? So the moderation is different between us as well.
Oh, I mean, if it's in the house, like, I'll eat it. But, like, and that's, like, the other thing is, like, you find that your moderation is less if you don't have these things readily available. So
We've
it's like,
said that in the episode 6 as well. That's
Yeah.
a very, very good thing to
Key
do.
point,
And
yeah.
it's a key point, something to practice. Get it out of the house.
yeah, so, like, I mean, I'd like to think that I helped him, really kickstart his nutrition journey. Because, I mean, when you basically moved in with me, maybe we'll tell you our story one day, but he basically just moved in with me, just never left my apartment. And, well, so he just had to start eating whatever I cooked. And so he was over pretty much every night for dinner. So, where he maybe would have, eaten at his mom's or just gotten fast food.
Yeah.
Like most of the time it was probably just fast food, or he would have like met a buddy out or, whatever. So, like I really introduced you to a lot more cooking, staying home and eating, and just like some healthy alternatives. Like his favorite meal for so long was like chicken stir fry. Like really not very carb heavy. Like, sometimes we would do it with rice, but mostly it was just like chicken and vegetables or turkey burgers and sweet potato fries. Like those were
Some amazing stuff.
Those were his jam. So,
Good recommendations
Yeah.
if you struggle
Yeah.
sometimes on you don't know what to make. You can make stir fry,
Mhm.
last you 3 or 4 days,
Yep.
which is great.
Yeah, I mean, and then we, even then took it a step further. We started meal prepping. So, we didn't always do that. We just kind of got into like, I prepped meals for dinner. Like I, kind of had an idea of what I was going to cook for dinners throughout the week. And then, what really helped me then was starting to like meal prep. And we did practice those tips of, not going to the grocery store hungry. And so when you don't have these things readily available, like at 9 o'clock at night when you're like, oh my gosh, I really want something sweet. Like, well, if you have something sweet in the house, you're going to eat it. versus, oh man, I really want something sweet. Do I feel like leaving the house for it? No.
Yeah.
Like,
I for certain am not going to
yeah,
leave the house because
yeah.
I just am
It was,
lazy. I'm not going to go do it.
this was like I don't know, a couple nights ago. It was on last Monday because it's Meatless Monday. That's what we do. And it was like 9 o'clock, and we were like starving, and all we wanted were burgers. And we didn't eat them because
We did almost order them.
we
though.
did almost order, and that is sometimes the problem with like ordering like food, but like it would have been so easy like if we had all the stuff maybe in the house, but like who feels like cooking burgers at 9 o'clock? Like nobody. And then I was like, do I really feel like going out to get one? No. Do I feel like paying like $10 in delivery fees and waiting 45 minutes for a burger? Like, not really. So like when you don't have these things readily available, it just kind of like, curbs your like, I don't need it that bad. And then you go another day, and then maybe if you still want it, okay, then I think then we got burgers the next
We
night
did
for
get
dinner.
burgers the next night. So
You know,
because we
so
wanted the
it's-
burgers, and that
yeah.
was our meal that we got
Yeah.
as a treat for ourselves for the week, and that
Yep.
was our moderation, and that held us over.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
and that's our personal. Like I said, I mean ours are both different, but our moderations, and everybody's going to be different. So.
Yep. Yeah, it really just depends. And again, it changes. It changes based on like what your goals are. It changes like how your mood is. Like when I'm in a really good fitness routine, I tend to bend less on my nutrition habits because I feel really good. And like, so for me, that moderation is like, it could be once a month. But I don't want to, like, for me, the feeling of feeling really good, like eating well, working out, having that really good habit outweighs the need to eat that like fried food or that piece of cake that's going to make me not feel good. So it's really just kind of about where you are in your, fitness goals, personal goals, time of month, all that good stuff.
Yeah, everything's gonna vary.
Like when I get pregnant, it's gonna be, my moderation's gonna be so different, than what it is right now. And so will his, because then I'm pregnant, so then he gets a pat. So it just, life changes in life.
I also become pregnant. Is what she's trying to say. That's a true story.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just different, So just, be mindful, and just like I said before, just thinking about it brings you one step closer to creating it as a habit.
That's right. And she just mentioned how she feels good when she changes her nutrition habit, and she's in a good fitness routine and in a good nutrition routine.
Yep.
I can tell you, it is fact that once you start a nutrition routine, you will start to feel better.
Yep.
Once you do it for a little bit, and then let's say you relapse, and then now you just start eating. There's a whole week where you just eat junk.
Yep.
You won't feel as good whatsoever, and you will 100% notice the difference. And that will hopefully be, and that's what we use as well,
Yep.
is another, because we eat stuff and it makes us feel like junk.
Yep.
That'll be another kickstart to, oh man, I need to get back on track because I don't like feeling like that. And
Yep.
and that'll make it easier to continue your routine, which you have to start, and you have to continue to be able to start feeling the change. It's not going to be overnight. It's not going to be a one-day thing, but after X amount of time, maybe it's 2 weeks, you're eating healthy, you feel that difference. You're not going to want to feel bad after eating food again.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
that's definitely a motivating factor.
Yep. Well, and like for me, like one of my big things is like drinking. Like I've like really put that into like moderation. I maybe drink once a week now, because it just, after not drinking for so long, being pregnant, like I just don't feel good anymore, and then it makes me fall off of my nutrition habits. It makes me not want to work out the next day. And so it's like, if I was doing that 3-4 times a week, like I would feel like crap. So like for me, like I just can have a glass of wine and sit and watch my holiday Christmas movies, which is what I did last night. And then that's fine. And I get my little fix and I'm good. And then I don't need it, all week or 2 weeks or however long, so but like that one glass of wine is not gonna do anything to me. Like it's not gonna derail my progress. Like it's not like I'm drinking every night. So it's just, just reminding yourself that you can have one glass, you can have one piece of cake, once or twice a week, and it's gonna be fine.
Absolutely. So moderation is all individual variances. You just have to find it. It's gonna be
and
a learning curve at first, but it's gonna change, and it will get better the more you practice these nutrition habits, and you will feel better. And you just have to remember, it's okay to mess, it's okay to backtrack, it's okay to eat different things in your moderation, as long as you're just moving forward, as long as you continue to remember where you want to be in your nutrition and fitness routine, but your nutrition routine, and that you are still going to work towards that. So those are the questions that we got for. I think that covers literally anything else that we may have missed in the episode. But
we'll never answer the question just straight out. We'll like give you some answers and tips, and
that is the fun part about the follow-up and question and answers. Not just a question and answer, it's a follow-up. We're following up at the same time. But so that's really it for this episode. Those are the questions that came in. We appreciate those who sent those questions in. This was recorded live for those who are listening on a podcast platform. This is recorded live on Twitch and YouTube. You can check out those links in the description. Again, my name is Austin J, or Hallucinodream if you know me from the gaming community. This is my lovely wife. You can't see her. I'm pointing to her. Christina. She's
not part of the gaming community, so you won't know me from there.
Nope. She's just Christina. She is a semi-permanent co-host now at this point. She's probably just going to become a permanent resident, like she said at the beginning.
Yep.
And
I can't leave him on here by himself.
Yeah, it's a disaster.
Seriously.
And for those watching on YouTube, all the links over here on your left. Those listening, they will be in the description. You can follow us on all of our social media. If you have any questions in regards to anything at all that we've talked about, we would love to answer them. Just send us a message on any of our social media on YouTube. You can go to our website. Our email's there. You can contact us anywhere. You can contact me personally on my social. It'll be there as well. Christina, you can't. Sorry. And we would love to answer those. That being said, we will be back Wednesday. I do this every time. I don't know
the date.
I know, I never know the date.
Wednesday,
we will be
the
back Wednesday the 16th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on Twitch and YouTube. We'll be recording live once again our episode 8. Yes, episode 8. We don't tell you. It's a surprise what it's going to be about. We don't tell you, but it will be something pretty
Maybe
magnificent.
it will be about the oils.
Maybe it will be about, what else do we say? The oils, other stuff.
Carbs.
Yeah. Maybe.
Oils, carbs. Oh, man.
Oh, man. Oh, no. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for the questions. And we hope to see you guys on Wednesday and in the future episodes. So thank you again, and see you then.
Bye, guys.
Freeze frame. Perfect.
We're so good.